You're not really saying that music can kill, are you?
Yes, I am.
Music can be a very powerful thing. Nothing galvanizes the emotions as quickly.
Hello, kiddies. We are going to have a real good time together. We're talking with Martin Gordon, who's a bassist extraordinaire. He's played with everybody from Sparks to the Rolling Stones to Boy George, and he's got a really cool, successful solo career. And I feel like we shouldn't give too much away about this current project he's working on because it's really, really cool.
True, but we do need to say not a political show.
Not a political show. Good point. So there is something that I just found. This is not new. I did some searching. People have known this for 10 plus years. However, I am new to it. Ergo, this is of importance with the show. I want to play you something. And I want you to just listen and we will kind of go from there. So let me just share here real quick. All right. I've sort of, you will notice, set up my browser. So
Am I
it's
going
hard
to be able
to
to hear
tell
this? Because you
all
always
the,
play things for me and I can't hear them.
let's give this a shot here. Can you hear that? Like tape hiss?
Yes.
Okay.
Dear Mom and Dad, I've been in the City of Angels a week now.
Do you know what this
and
is?
I've already got my first acting job. Like you always said, son, you're gonna be famous someday. By the way, how's the cat?
So what are you thinking?
Okay. Yes.
There we go.
Yep. Oh, yeah. Yes. Yeah. I mean, yes,
Okay. You like that?
I do.
It's not too terrible, is it?
It's not.
Do you know what it is?
Well, I think I do, but I don't want to say it.
So it's a ska funk rock band from the 90s.
Yes.
Named Wizzy.
Yes.
And what are you just
No,
shout it
go.
out here?
No, go.
No, I want you
No.
to, I want you to show off your knowledge of music and such.
No, I don't want to show off my knowledge of music and such.
So this is Peter Dinklage's band.
Well, I
that he
didn't know
formed.
that.
Yes, that is Peter Dinklage on
I
horns
freely admit I did not know that.
and vocals. So what is most upsetting to me is that they played in New York 93, 94, 95. They played CB's, they played all of this was the exact time I was in New York. I could have seen Peter Dinklage's Wheezy at CB's, and I'm very, very sad about the fact that I did not.
But you wouldn't have.
No, I would have been too uptight, but like now it'd be a great story to be
Well, yeah.
like, you know,
And you now would have.
oh, I completely
would
would have
have.
now, yes.
I would have.
I was
back
so much
then.
older then. I'm younger than that now.
But I was old then, but I was old and would have seen them.
Yes.
But I love Peter Dinklage.
Yeah, and I just found this and like clicked on it, was like, oh, this is going to be awful because, you know, it's like, oh, not too terrible. The rest of the tape is not bad either.
No, but the song sounds like another song.
Oh, what did you think it was?
The
Eric Estrada band?
No, I thought it was. No, I thought, wait, now the song that I thought it was went out of my head. I thought it was lyrics. I thought that, I knew what the band, because I could see what the band name was, but
You
I
could see the
didn't know,
tape cover,
right.
yes.
But I couldn't tell you who it was. But then I thought that they were like taking lyrics and putting it to another song, but now the song has gone out of my head. So it will come back to me. And I will admit, because I know I was wrong anyway, I will admit to what I thought that it was once it returns to my brain. But now I'm on this like wishing that we went to see Peter Dinklage. So, and because I love Peter Dinklage, I'm on a whole like Peter Dinklage.
It's interesting because initially we reached out to you because of your connection with Spark, musical work in the past, but then you sent along His Mother Was a Woman.
Hmm.
It is amazing. The
Uh,
concept is so great.
yeah.
And I
Thank you.
and I know you've been doing this for a bit with various leaders, but can you explain what you're doing here? And then maybe we can go into the differences between this and some of your past collaborations with prime ministers and the like.
Yeah, well, this one took, okay, so the general background is my frustration with my own tendency to use templates and modules, and pop music essentially these days is very much a cut and paste exercise. Didn't always used to be like that, but it is pretty much. And it heads more and more in that direction. Now you have module A, and then you have module B, and then you repeat module A, and you repeat module B, and then you maybe have module A, but with an instrumental, and it's also predictable. And so I kind of forced myself to try and find other ways of getting out of, accustomed patterns. And I hit upon the notion of speech as a kind of defining component of a piece of music. And people have done it before, there's been all kinds of incorporations of speech into music, but they are basically, their approach is that the speech is kind of fitted into the music, is the way that I see it, with certain notable exceptions, Luciano Berio maybe, and a few others, but mostly the music is still predominant, and the speech fits into the structure that the music component has has taken the shape of. So I figured it would be interesting to do it backwards, to take the text and keep the text exactly as it was, including all the missteps and all the little deviations. And I tried it with different kinds of texts, and I found that extemporized text was the best, or was the most interesting. Metrically, because in the way that we're speaking now, there's all kinds of little pauses, and then you speed up a bit, and then you slow down, and then you stop. And the conceit behind this is that there is a metric, that there's metric information contained in extemporized speech. And so I've tried a number of different approaches, but this particular approach on His Mother says, okay, the speech goes like this. This is not recorded speech, although I have tried that in the past. This is just transcriptions, and so I take the transcriptions without altering them, and I assume that they have been deliberately created as librettos or as non-rhyming poetry, like verse, and I use the process of setting. And that's where I am.
And so is this, well, we should say that your collaborator, your lyricist, is the 45th and 47th president of the United States.
Is he who shall not be named.
Exactly.
Yes, exactly.
So is this like the transcripts released by the White House? Because obviously you've
No.
removed all of the ums and ahs and that sort of thing.
Well, there weren't any ums and ahs that were in the transcript, but they're not White House transcripts. It says in the CD booklet when it eventually arrives, it was an interview that he did. I think it was in December 24. I could tell you actually.
So this is all from one conversation.
It's from one conversation.
Oh, okay.
This is not the entire conversation. These are only the bits that were interesting to me. So all I've done is actually I've effectively highlighted bits that looks interesting, so they might be interesting metrically. And the only things that I've taken out are, well, the questions, of course. This is only the responses.
You don't need those.
No, because I mean that's letting the side down by being coherent and articulate and making sense. So who needs that shit? Donald Trump press conference with SoftBank CEO, December the 16th, 2024. So whoever SoftBank CEO is.
So how is the former and current president as a collaborator, lyrically speaking?
Well, we haven't had any conflicts so far.
Okay, that's good.
It's good.
But then I haven't actually asked him for any feedback.
It's probably for the best, let's be honest.
I mean,
Yeah, I mean, it's an easy life.
I mean, the lyrics are very hooky. I mean, very easy to remember.
Sure. And
definitely an earworm.
There's enough repetition in there without deliberately repeating the stuff. It's kind of inherently repetitive.
Right.
And it's quite psychedelic. And it takes all kinds of unexpected twists and turns, you know, where you expect something to do that. So, you know, no complaints from my side.
Now, I have found, and again, I don't want to speak for everybody, but I hear questions like this asked and answered, and I want to put my head through a wall just to make it stop. I cannot imagine sitting down with this and then intentionally working with it, listening to it, analyzing it, playing with it. How crazy did this make you? Can you hear this, because the cadence and the tempo of how he speaks is, shall we say, unique.
Yes, but you don't get that. You don't get the cadence here, and you don't get the tempo. They all come from me. I did actually try another experiment on an earlier outing, which did use recordings as the start point.
Was that your Boris Johnson collab?
No, again, the Boris Johnson one was me sticking him in to various holes. A lot of people would like to do that, but
I can think of many holes he should be put into.
One in particular, but no. So that again was a different approach. So this is just the latest of a number of approaches. But yeah, because I didn't hear the dulcet tones of Mr. 47, I'm still more or less in one piece, you know.
That would explain it.
And
it's interesting going through your career that your work, for the most part, has there's a satirical element to it, there's a sense of humor, and that it does these things and it does play with things in a way that I think a lot of musicians don't. Has this always been kind of from the beginning, things you were like interested in, stuff that is sort of off the beaten path, shall we say?
I think yes is the simple answer to that. I mean, pop music used to be all kinds of stuff. It used to be witty and aware and socially connected to a non-pop world, you know. But then it sort of stopped. But it's always the connection that's been interesting to me. You know, this Venn diagram-like connection where pop music and humor and reality overlap. And there are not many exponents. I mean, today there are almost no exponents of that kind of thing. I think there were possibly more in earlier times. But that's always what's appealed to me. I mean, Gilbert and Sullivan are a fantastic example.
Other collaborators.
Yes.
Yeah, but it's a fantastic. Other collaborators.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. A fantastic example of popular music, which is extremely scathing about the environment that it's created in, and it's tough stuff. Some of that.
Why do you think that stopped? I mean, it's since time began, right? Well, not, you know, pop music was so much of that for centuries, right? So what do you think stopped it?
Well, I think capitalism probably. I mean,
It's always hard.
even I mean, Cole Porter and his ilk were
Mhm.
scathing about
Right.
stuff.
Yeah.
So when did pop stop being scathing? It probably was after. I mean, off the top of my head, I would say it would be after punk, when people wanted to start making, or when people saw that making money was much more important than anything else.
Yeah.
That would be my pop take on it.
It's
And
unfortunate.
with all of your work, you very much, I feel like, have waved the flag or held the flag for, damn it, I'm going to say something in this stuff that means something to me and that might mean something to you and you might enjoy it. Um, have you faced a pushback of people being like, nobody wants to be reminded of what's happening today, what happened last week, if you can remember that far back?
Very much so. I get abusive communications from all kinds of people. I mean, this is the should pop music be involved in connected to politics discussion, which is a subject which is very close to my heart. Um, and many people say no, but my own particular take on it is that unless, I mean, if you're going to call yourself an artist, then you have to reflect the world in which you're being an artist. And if you don't, then I don't think you have the right to call yourself an artist. You are an entertainer, and there's nothing wrong with entertaining. But I would question whether an entertainer could legitimately be call themselves an artist if they're just entertaining people. It's cabaret, you see.
Right.
Yeah. Who were some of your influences? Because you talk about the sort of that idea of speaking truth to power and such, and I think of people like Frank Zappa and even Randy Newman, um, who do it with a sense of humor, but still are very much like, we're still going to be thumbing our nose at you. Who were your influences that you connected with and kind of sent you down this path of, I want to be this disruptive as I can be?
Well, I always thought that Gilbert and Sullivan were on the right path. Um, in terms of pop music, I mean, apart from the obvious, the Frank Zappa's, and so, uh, I mean, I don't think I have a particular role model whose work I'm trying to reproduce, but I think it's more of an attitude
Hmm.
and humor. People who work, more people who do humor. There's always the possibility there. I mean, humor implicitly says there are two ways of looking at this problem. There's the humorous way, and we all know that there is the other way. So you have this kind of implicit duality. But in a lot of po-faced, sort of one-dimensional, shall we say, pop music, you don't have this duality. Randy Newman, of course, would be on my list.
What about Tom Lehrer, actually, thinking about him since he's
Yeah,
yours?
absolutely, absolutely. I mean,
Uh,
although no, there are people who do that. They tend not to be as mainstream as others. I mean, in terms of acceptance.
yeah. Looking over your body of work, you have collaborated and worked with such a unique and I would say one of a kind assortment of artists. What fashion advice did Boy George give you?
Oh, I bought some fantastic velvet slippers from the market in Bombay, and it was monsoon time, and it was really muddy and miserable outside, and so I got two black rubbish bags and tied one round each foot because I wanted to keep these things. They were black velvet with gold thread on them. And so anytime it looked like it was raining outside, I put on my rubbish bags. And then I was accused of being a fashion victim. It's just pragmatic.
Right? Did it work? It worked, right?
It did. They're here, actually.
That's what's more
30
fashion
years
forward?
later, they are pristine in my hallway.
Do you still wear them?
No,
See,
What's more fashion forward than that?
right?
And
That's
then I saw you worked with the Stones. Was that dirty work era? Because I'm probably the one person who's like, it's not a bad record. Or was it earlier than that?
I don't know. It was 1979, 80,
Okay.
over era.
right, yeah. I'm
It was beardy era.
Mhm.
He had a beard at that time. So whatever era that was.
what would that would have been?
Post Some Girls.
Yeah.
I think it
Bef-
was probably right after Some Girls, yeah.
Right.
Because there was a bit of a kind of punk vibe in the air.
Yeah. Interesting. I mean, I guess given your own work, it would make sense that if you're going to play with the Stones, it's going to be at the kind of punk element of let's mess with this a little bit, or not, or
I don't know. I mean,
it's a paycheck and
it was purely happenstance and following. It was a series of coincidences that led me into a position where I was, but it seemed the appropriate thing to say. Oh, by the way, I play bass, as somebody was complaining about. They had no bass player for the next few days. So,
But
that's
now,
my role in these things, to step into the holes when they present themselves.
mm,
that's fascinating. I mean, it's interesting how how that works and how those things happen. It's so often it's just sort of like you said, you sort of step into the holes and they lead to the next one and the next one and the next one.
Yeah.
So much in music.
Yeah.
And those connections. Is there one of those experiences that you feel is the one that sort of led you most on the path you felt was your favorite or the best or that was most you?
Well, in recent times, yes. I was in Senegal working with some local musicians, preparing them for a concert that they had, which they were going to share the stage with the Ensemble Moderne, who actually, as you know, probably Frank Zappa referred to as his last and greatest ensemble, because they're really serious players.
Oh yeah.
And so I had to rehearse the Senegalese musicians before the ensemble guys turned up. And to make it all go through, to make it all work easier, I said, well, look, I'll play bass during this because I know the ensemble had a bass player. So I played all the way through all the rehearsals, and then the ensemble came, and everybody, because we made recordings and sent the recordings back to Frankfurt, and they said, okay, it could be more like this, or why don't you try and think about it like that? And then when they came, they were surprised to find that I hadn't planned to play bass all the way through it, because I was just supposed to be the facilitator,
mhm.
And their bass player was completely in agreement and handed over to me.
Oh, that's
So
fantastic.
that was probably a very good, example of doing one thing, but then another possibility.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're so associated with the Rickenbacker bass guitar. And I
Yes,
don't know if that is what you were playing in this performance, but
it was amazingly enough. It's completely inappropriate, but
what is it about that guitar, that model, that you like so much as a bassist?
it expands into the sonic space, so it doesn't work with every instrument.
Hmm.
It sounds a bit like a piano, I always think. Sounds like the low end of the piano.
Mhm.
And to make it really work, you have to have the right guitar player and he has to be playing the right guitar also. There has to be some kind of sonic separation in frequency wise, and then of course part wise also. So you can do a lot with it, and I mean, I think the role of the bass is an interesting one. It's a very fundamental. It can be a very kind of prescriptive role. You can change what people are doing, depending on what you're doing at the same time.
So you don't see any
It does it probably better than any other instrument.
And so do you play sounds like you look at the bass as not I mean, a lot of people look as part of the drums action, the idea that you are just simply to keep it moving along. Sounds like you approach it as a bigger part of the song.
I was listening to one of my heroes talking the other day, Jack Bruce, about he described bass as being the connection between the rhythm and the melody and the harmony. And I think that's a pretty good description. So it really occupies a place of its own, I think.
So how did you, talking about lyricists and musicians, with a bit of a sense of humor to some of their work, how did you first come across the Mail Brothers and Sparks, and how did that relationship start?
I saw them on a British TV show. I think it was called the Old Grey Whistle Test. And on that show, you would normally find people wearing denim and having long hair and lots of widdly. And when they came on, they weren't doing any of that. And so I thought, oh, well, this is kind of interesting. And then they put an advert in the paper, and I responded. Albeit I had long hair at the time, so I had a foot in both camps, because I think in the same. I've said it before, but in the same period, I also auditioned for Supertramp, who definitely were lots of widdly and lots of long hair. And lots of so I felt depending on who responded, then I would go down that particular road.
Both excellent roads.
Well, Supertramp, of course, fantastic, but they got great, after a particular point. And unfortunately, this was slightly before they were great. It was kind of a bit it wasn't like focused, and it wasn't very poppy. It was a bit kind of serious, and it was a bit country-ish,
Right.
It wasn't as superb as they then suddenly became when those albums started coming out.
Yes.
But interesting, they also had a high-pitched singer, so maybe it was something there.
True.
Yeah, I was attracted towards the higher frequencies.
Yeah. What were they like because you played on Kimono My House. Did you tour with them at all? Do any simply studio work?
No.
What were they like as producers, or just collaborators in the studio? Was it a lot of just get us from here to here, or was it very much mapped out for you and very specific of this is what we want, please do not deviate from that?
The studio came along after lots of rehearsals. So I think before there was any talk of signing to a particular record company, we worked on material for some months. So by the time that Muff Winwood began to appear in the rehearsal room, everything was already, we'd been through all the kind of, the arrangement process. So in the studio, there was nothing to do other than do the stuff that we'd done already. And double this bit and, some harmonies here, but actually most of the preparation had been done already.
It's for them, there's a mystique about them that is sort of part of the, I think, allure. No,
Mystique.
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 Yes.
An easy mistake to make.
Yes.
That's yes. That is part of the allure of that. Did they have that at that point? Because they were still on their way up, not to.
I think Mystique is very much in the eye of the beholder.
Hmm.
That was probably all I'll say about that. I mean, you know,
Yeah.
the whole thing about pop music and fandom is projections.
Yeah.
So depending on who you are and how
And where you are.
and where you are and what the time is and how receptive the recipient is. Like if the recipient isn't going to respond or contradict you, then you can just carry on projecting until you die. And the problems arise when the people say, no, 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 you got that wrong. That's completely ridiculous. And then, of course, there is some tension between how you as the fan want these people to be and how they really are. So I always think that being mysterious is a very good career move.
That's true.
And I also think that if you haven't got very much to say, then you better shut up.
Yes.
Because there's nothing worse than hearing people talking if they have nothing to say.
True.
This brings us back to 47, I suppose. But I mean, in the
Indeed.
Very much so.
of pop music, this is very much the case, I think.
Yeah.
And the interesting thing too that you mentioned that there's a bit of a discourse on your website with listeners who maybe are not completely attuned with what you are doing with some of these songs.
Yes.
And that is a newer evolution of the process as a musician of communicating with the outside world, with sharing your work, that sort of ability to have a first person one-on-one. I think this sucks because of these reasons, and the artist hears that, or the inverse. Did it take you a bit to get used to that? Because you obviously didn't get into music to be able to talk to people one-on-one about why they do or do not like what you're doing.
Right.
Well, that's true. Although I should say that the most abusive messages come to me directly by email.
It's thoughtful.
And so, in other words, they're not public.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes they are lengthy diatribes, and sometimes they are just very short. But
you really engage with them. I've noticed on the site, the open messages. It is a back and forth.
That's right. If they sound as though they're borderline sane, I mean the really bonkers ones, then I will just quietly remove and not respond to. But I have absolutely no problem in discussing stuff with people, as long as it's not ideology. There's a German commentator who holds a similar view, but he did point out that people at the extreme edges of the bell curve, the extreme 5%, you cannot actually engage in rational conversation. So that's the approach I take. Unless they are completely bonkers, then I will respond in the way that they've opened up the conversation.
So my mother was a woman. She was born in Scotland. She had great respect for the Queen.
His Mother Was a Woman by Martin Gordon is available September 1st. For more information, you can check out his website, martingordon.de.